We are just waiting for one more speaker who is still having a little trouble, but we'll get started in the meantime to respect all of your time. I want to thank you so much for your patience and welcome everyone to BBB's Junior Board Masterclass. For those that don't know me, my name is Pamela Anson, and I am the Director of Brand Outreach at Better Business Bureau, serving Greater Cleveland. And I really do want to thank you for joining us today. We formed the Junior Board of Directors to bring budding entrepreneurs and business leaders together. The goal of this group really is to find new ways to connect, give back, and expand BBB's brand awareness. So we hope that you find our virtual webinar series provides you a new perspective of common challenges that businesses face today. And we know that the world lately has been very changing. And we appreciate everyone to take the time to attend our first installment. We have 2 more to go after this one. And before I introduce our speakers, I just have a few housekeeping things to go over. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to type them in the questions box. We'll be sure to answer those throughout the presentation or at the end. This presentation is being recorded and will be posted on BBB Serving Greater Cleveland's YouTube page. Now I would like to introduce our 2 speakers today. First, we have Victoria Webster, and she's the owner of Blossom to Beauty Salon, which focuses on natural hair and locks. And her company is dedicated to helping you not only look, but feel good. We also are welcoming India Hobbs, who we're hoping will hop on very shortly, and she owns Home Care Companions and Associates. They are a non-medical home care company that caters to the needs of senior citizens. India takes pride in helping those in need when they need it most. I want to thank you both for presenting today and sharing your insights. It's really great to get a different perspective. And today we are obviously going to talk about employee appreciation and retention, which is such an important topic for today. So I will have you get started, Victoria, and just let me know when you need to advance the slides.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And thank you, Pam, for the wonderful introduction. My name is Victoria, and I'm the owner of Blossom to Beauty Hair Salon. And so I'm going to have you go to the next slide. We're just going to start off the presentation with a few statistics. According to the United States Department of Labor, 11.5 million workers have quit their jobs in 2021 from the months of April to June. 48% of employees are looking to make a career change, and about 1 in 4 did so. And at the end of July, the US jobs opening rose to nearly 10.9 million. So that's a lot of change. And with that, there's 2 different things that can happen for your business. If you could change the next slide. So what does this mean for your team? One way to look at it is that there could be new talent on the horizon for you. So the fact that so many people are looking to make a career change, or they're looking to, change what they're doing, people are going to start contacting you to see what opportunities are with your business. So I'm going to have you go to the next slide. So with this, you want to focus on where to find candidates. So the 2 places that we have suggestions for is social media, and then there are different search engines that job seekers are on, such as Indeed. So as you're kind of going through and putting that information online for people to inquire about job opportunities, you need to know what it is that you're looking for out of an employee, and then also have a seamless interview process. I'm going to have you go to the next slide. So you want to have your onboarding process together. With that, you want to make sure that you're having clear expectations, job duties are outlined, the candidate is clear on the start and end times. If there's any training that's available, you want to definitely have that together for them. And then just a few more things: the attendance policy, dress code, and disciplinary action. Because if these things aren't clearly outlined, there's going to be a lot of confusion once somebody does get started, and it can kind of turn over into them actually leaving their position prematurely. So now we go to the next slide. Another thing you want to do as people are starting to join your team is be welcoming. So be sure to introduce the other employees to the new employees so they don't feel left out. And a couple of ways that you can do that is through having a team lunch on their first day. So it's kind of like a casual way to meet everyone and more laid back. And then also have opportunities for them to shadow other employees so that they feel prepared for their job duties. And that's a good way for them to connect with each other and get to know each other as well. And I see India has joined the chat.
Hello, everyone. Hello. And thank you for showing up to our employee retention and recognition. All of Victoria points are spot on. It looks like the slide that we're on right now are ways to keep current talent. So one is you want to give them responsibility. One way you can do that is give them extra tasks to do outside of their normal line of work. And it all depends on the setting that you're in. Giving people responsibility builds that trust, right? It lets them know that you trust them. You want to reward them. There's a number of different ways that you can reward them. I think everyone, or I know everyone likes to be rewarded, right? So in addition to giving them additional responsibilities, reward them, give them employee of the week, employee of the month, give them candy. I know a lot of companies have an employee appreciation day. This is a day of the month where in some way you let your employees know that you appreciate them. Again, it can be as small as passing them out some chips or positive inspiration. You can go to Word and actually look at different templates and give them a certificate. And when you're rewarding people, it's always good to do this in front of their teammates. It just makes them feel that much better when you're recognizing them in front of a group. Show them respect. I think this is really important. With COVID and everything, everybody getting reacclimated to everything, it's very important that you show people that you respect them. You want to create a family-oriented environment in your workplace, right? I think there's a survey that says 85% of people are working a job that they don't like. And almost 100% of people do more than what's expected of them when they feel appreciated. And that's one way that you can appreciate your staff and your employees is by respecting them.
Can we get our next slide? Okay.
There is more hunger. I love this quote. This is a Mother Teresa quote, kind of goes to what I was just saying. There is more hunger for love and appreciation in this world than there is for bread. Think about that. Like we all want to feel appreciated. Just think about it. Take it back to being a child, or if you're an athlete or anything. You want that appreciation from your seniors and your elders. And like I just stated, we all know that people will do more than it's expected when they're appreciated. So make sure you're appreciating your employees. Some ways you can add value to your team, ensuring you care, tips and best demonstrated practices. Victoria, you can dive into the slide if you like. I'll address the first one. Create a structured recognition program that rewards your team's success. I kind of talked about these things in the beginning, right? Employee of the week, employee of the month, most improved. just giving them a shout out in a meeting. People love to be recognized.
Definitely. So the second point, it's important to take weekly, monthly, or quarterly surveys to measure morale. So that way, you know, kind of how your team is feeling. Because 9 times out of 10, someone might not walk up to you and say, like, hey, I don't like this. Because 9 times out of 10, people don't like confrontation. So that's a great way for people to kind of clearly think about what they want to say and articulate it correctly. So you're able to get those responses and know where you stand. Um,
Well, to Victoria's point, that's a great thing about that. So we all think that, dropping some chips on their desk is enough, and, printing something for employee, appreciation day is enough, but you never know until you ask or you survey. And to Victoria's point, a lot of people don't like confrontation. I don't, right? I don't like confrontation. And surveys, people feel a lot more comfortable with surveys because it's anonymous, a lot of them, right? So they don't have to fear like retaliation or anything in the workplace if it's through a survey. And I would encourage, if you are sending weekly, monthly, or quarterly surveys, that you do send them anonymous. You'll more than likely have a better turnout rate if you're sending it anonymous. And you want to check in, right? I know I always, I'm a visionary, so I'm always like thinking about how I want things to go, but you have to check in with your people. Like, you have to really check in and see what they need. You can't really assume what they need. You have to know what they need. And one way to do that is with your weekly, monthly, or quarterly surveys.
and also, the next point, it's important to get to know your team on a personal level. Um, this is important for many different reasons. The first one is you don't want your teammate or your employee to feel like they're just another number. If you take the time to actually get to know them, get to know what they're into, what they like, what they dislike, that's going to make those rewards that India mentioned before a lot easier, so that is relevant to the things that they like. And then lastly, just getting to know each person's strengths and weaknesses. And this is definitely going to help when you're starting to delegate. So you don't want to give someone something to work on and have them take the lead on something that they're not the strongest in, because that might make them feel like they're not doing that great of a job. So you kind of know what to have people focus on and then what to have people dial back on. But that's not to say that you don't want to give your employees something or not give them something because you know that they're not great at it. You still want to give them the opportunity to grow. But just know them and know what they're going to, succeed in and what they might need a little bit more help in.
And I love the point about make it personal, right? Like, make it a family oriented environment. Most times we see people in our workplace more than we see people in our own families, right? So make it comfortable. Bring in coffee, donuts, a smile. Ask about their children. Ask how school's going. If a loved one is sick or ill, ask how they're doing. It goes a long way. It really goes a long way when you take a personable approach to things, and when people feel appreciated, they'll do more and they'll stay longer. Next slide, please. Forms of recognition. So forms of recognition, you're thinking maybe, okay, we're talking about retention and appreciation. Like, how do we do this? So this slide is going to address some things that you can do to recognize your team. You can give shout outs. That is free, easy, right? Everybody's trying to save money, inflation and everything. So instead of, printing paper or getting trophies or buying snacks, one easy way is to just give a shout out. And this is, some ways you can do that is, if you, depending on the type of business that you run, you can greet your employees at the door as soon as they come in around the staff. Hey, there goes Pam. She is awesome. Welcome, Pam. We appreciate you. Last week, Pam got through 100 surveys. We appreciate her. And give her a round of applause, right? Or him or her or them a round of applause. Offer from projects or personal development. This is awesome. Like there's a ton of volunteer opportunities here in Cleveland and Northeast Ohio. The food bank is one of my favorite. So you can offer to volunteer at a place like the food bank and recognize them in that formal setting, or give them something extra to do. Like this is maybe between you and the person. You can sit them down and say, hey, I really have noticed your efforts. You're really rocking it out. Can you help me come up with a form of recognition for the team? Or can you help me plan a special a party or something for the rest of us? Take them to lunch, right? It doesn't have to be anything expensive. Find out, this goes into getting to know them, right? Take them to lunch, figure out where their favorite place is, maybe give them a gift card and take them out. Distribute non-cash rewards. We talked about chips. You have these little bracelets. Like these are pretty inexpensive to order, like the little rubber bracelets. You can like personalize them with their name or you're the best. Loosen the reins. Like if you have dress code, maybe give a dress down day, maybe give an early out, maybe an excuse late or something, a come in late or early out. I used to love early outs. Throw a competition, a party or a potluck. Everybody loves potlucks and parties. Again, this is another great setting to recognize your people in potlucks and parties. And again, it doesn't have to be anything elaborate. Potlucks are great because everybody brings in what they can. A friendly competition. This can be a competition of who has done the most over the week. One competition you can run, I run, is called I Rock. So all the employees submit their nominations for the I Rock award. So they send an email noticing an employee or a staff member for something great that they did. It's reviewed every week, and then in our normal weeklies, in our follow-ups that we have weekly, we give the I Rock award. We read the nomination, so it builds team morale and retention because we're building that team. So we're saying Victoria recognized India for this, and then doing it in a setting where everyone hears and sees. Encouraging peer-to-peer recognition, the iRock award. And just say thank you, right? Just say thank you.
And I also want to note too that I think the biggest thing to take away is to get to know your team so you know how to apply these forms of recognition, because that's what's going to help them feel engaged at work and for them to put their best foot forward. I know for me personally, at my salon, the things that work best are the personal development opportunities. I noticed that the other stylists really like when they go to hair classes. So when they come back to do their job, they feel empowered and they feel like, you know, they have a voice of authority and they're able to articulate to the clients what it is that they're doing. I also know from my experience, they like to loosen up the dress code or have the times where they can leave early, or even if they've earned a day off. So it's like, you know, most times salons are open on Saturdays. So if you bring in a certain amount of income for the month, you can have that Saturday off once out of the month. So just things like that and getting to know your team.
Yep. Other recognition methods, you have VIP parking space, right? Everybody loves to be a VIP. Gift cards, small engraved trophies. You can get those on Amazon. Promote success on social media. Another cost-effective way to recognize your team. Make them business leader of the month. Gift certificate. Provide meal tickets. Everybody likes a good meal, right? Allow early out or late in option. Next slide. All right, so some things that you can say to your team are, you did a fantastic job helping our team reach a goal. Thank you for setting such a fantastic example. Right? Easy.
One of the things that I like on the slide is the office is a happier place with you in it. Thanks for the laughs, because that's kind of like a compliment to someone's personality and just lightening up the mood.
Yep. Take pride in a job well done because you are the reason we achieved our goal. Thank you for going above and beyond to help us achieve our goal. We wouldn't have made this without you. And if you're like struggling, right? Like, I think you should make it personal. Like, if you realize someone has been struggling in a little late because they're having a hard time, the one day they come in on time, say, great job. I know you've been going through a lot, but thanks for getting here. We appreciate you showing up. Any major accolade doesn't have to be really related to their daily duties. It can be, a graduation or a certificate that they earned or just overcoming a challenge. Again, making it personal and making a family oriented environment will help you retain your employees because let's be honest, the job market, everybody's hiring, right? Or that's what they say. Everybody's hiring. So you have to make it, why should they stay with you? Why should they choose you as an employer with all the other jobs out there? So you want to do whatever you can to keep good talent because it is not easy to come by. It used to be, oh, I'll just hire someone else. COVID and the pandemic has definitely changed that. So when you get a good employee, do whatever you can, reward them, compliment them, survey them, talk to them. So, because sometimes depending on how the morale is, it's like, okay, well, they're just giving us chips. That's not going to solve the issues that we're having, right? But you want to sit them down and say, I know everybody's having a tough time or whatever's going on, but how can we improve around this place, right? That way they feel like they have stake and they have some ownership or onus into what's going on, and it makes them feel important. Next slide.
Okay, so here we have a slide that talks about the risks of not addressing employee needs. So you definitely want to avoid the following outcomes with the decreased performance, increased turnover, damaged reputation, and the loss of revenue. So with the decreased performance, if you're not addressing the needs of your team, it could lead to negative feelings about the company, which can lead to low morale and decreased production. With the increased turnover, the studies show that the employees who are not happy or motivated are those who do not feel like they're appreciated, eventually seek new employment. So that speaks to what we just talked about, the importance of acknowledging your employees and doing those small little things that'll add up over time to make them feel appreciated. And then you don't want to have a damaged reputation. So you don't want your employees going around bad mouthing you and saying, Blossom to Beauty Salon, I didn't like working there because XYZ. You always want to pour into your employees so they don't feel that way.
And to the damaged reputation part, it is easier than you think to have a damaged reputation. You may have heard that it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to destroy it. And when you're not doing things to keep your employees happy, and sometimes when you even are, you do have to deal with the ramifications of someone's perception. And Victoria just said it. If you're not paying attention to your team, if you're not making time for them, you will have decreased performance. People will begin looking for new jobs and not telling you about it and then leave. Increased turnover. We don't want that, right? We want to retain our good talent. Damage reputation. That's like the worst that can happen, right? Somebody bad mouthing you and from their perception, something getting around that's not even maybe honestly the truth, loss of revenue. And well, that has to be the absolute worst, right? Because if you have decreased performance, people are not going to perform. Increased turnover, you're going to have to spend money to hire people. Damaged reputation, you're not going to get new clients. And that ultimately leads to loss of revenue. Loss of revenue. Again, the risk of not addressing employee needs, losing an employee can have a drastic effect on your team morale. It's a domino effect, right? You fire somebody's best friend or somebody's best friend leaves or somebody's sister, cousin, or their favorite person. Now they leave. It can lead to poor performance and productivity. Not to mention it is expensive. It's expensive to lose talent because you have to hire new talent. It takes an average of 24 days to fill a job, and that may be a little longer depending on the profession that you're in, costing up to $4,000 per hire, or maybe more depending on the industry. I'm in home care. It used to be, if we have a client who needs care, we can fill that job in 7 to 14 days. That's more like 24 to 30 days, which is not good because we have people who need care on demand. So you want to make sure, again, that you are doing whatever you can. I know it's inflation. A lot of businesses are paying a lot more for things now than they were in the past. But think about the things that you can do that are cost effective. Tell someone thank you. Greet someone at the door. Make sure when they leave, you tell them thank you. Promote them on social media. Uh, Give them a parking space, an early out, giving them a parking space. All these things are free. Recognizing them in a group setting, right? If you don't want to print the paper or the ink for that, send an email and make sure you broadcast the email on a screen if you have it, or read it. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something that's expensive. Retaining and appreciating your talent is very, very, very important. And it's not that hard if you give it a little effort.
And also, to the point of not addressing employee needs, it's important to recognize your employees, but I also think it's important for your employees to know where they stand. So I think incorporating evaluations so that they kind of know, you know, if there are some things that, so that you as an employee know if their needs are not being met. So that gives them an opportunity for them to say, like, if they aren't feeling appreciated or if there's ways for you to improve on your end.
That's a great point, Victoria. A few slides back, we talked about knowing your person's strongest and weakest qualities, right? Sometimes you don't know. You're too busy. You're like not really paying attention, until someone's late or someone slaps on your desk or a client's complaining. A great way to know someone's strengths and weaknesses, one, ask, right? It's all about communicating, making sure you're staying in touch with them. But look at their performance appraisals. Performance appraisals are another great way outside of surveys. You should be auditing your people's performance. Sitting down at least once a month, at least once a quarter, analyzing the performance. How much revenue have they brought in? How much revenue? How has your numbers been? And then making sure that for your sake and their sake, they are understanding the job specific, like what their strengths and weaknesses are. So a great way to do that is to look at their performance appraisals and evaluations. Building a team increases retention. All right. Ensure you're constantly that you are writing new team roles and responsibilities to give the opportunity for advancement. No one likes to feel like they're in a dead end job. And I go through this in home care because it's like, all right, I am a certified nursing assistant, but what does that mean? Like, where am I? What's the next role? So what I do, I have a different class. So we do raises at least once a year. So if you're doing exceptionally well, if you've been with the company for more than a year or so, then you'll go from a CNA 1 to a CNA 2, or maybe you're a CNA manager. Just changing the title with the small raise can go a long way, or just giving them more responsibilities. Hey, can you keep track of attendance? Hey, can you keep track of who's doing a great job? You also want to track the satisfaction and your turnover. You want to measure your efforts. So if you're doing all these things, pay attention. See if these new reward programs, communicating and surveying, if you're retaining talent or losing talent. Again, that monthly, quarterly survey is great. You can go to Survey Monkey. Even if you have Office Suite, there's a new, it's not quite new, but if you go to Office, Microsoft Office, if you have that, there is a app that called Forms. You can create your own surveys through there, and it's completely free. And again, Survey Monkey is another great source for creating surveys, and you can send them completely anonymous.
And to India's point, I think that, we talked about surveys and evaluations, but I think it's important to let or make employees feel like it's a two-way street when it comes to voicing, needs and opinions, because a lot of times, especially if it's someone's first job, they might be nervous to even voice if something is wrong, because they might feel like, they'll get in trouble for saying something. So I think that's a great way to track with that survey how your employees are feeling.
Next slide, please. All right, here are some resources to back up all the things that we talked about today. We have hbr.org, shrm.org, forbes.com, humanresourcestoday.com. Is this our last slide?
I believe so.
Okay, so we wanted to have extra bonus, so I want to leave time for questions, but we wanted to talk about, we're talking about retaining clients, right? It all goes into showing them that you appreciate them, talking to them, understanding their needs versus what you think they are, and coming up with ways to create a family-oriented environment that makes them want to choose you as an employer. But we wanted to talk a little bit, we'll take a minute or two to talk about ways you can attract talent. It's like, how am I going to retain talent and I can't even hire anybody? Or, how am I going to keep people? So I just wanted to say that, I know it's a time where we're looking to bring people in, some great resources to bring people in so you can begin to retain them and appreciate them. You have Monster and Indeed allows you, this is costly sometimes. So you pay a membership fee and you have access to hundreds, if not thousands of resumes designated to the field of work that you're in. ZipRecruiter is another one. They're great. Not only do you see the resume, but you get the person's contact information and email, and you can always use that for later on. So ZipRecruiter, Indeed, Monster are ways for you to attract talent. They do cost. All these people have gotten smart. They're going, we know that talent is hard to come by. We have all these resumes. We're going to charge employers. Some free ways to do it is promote, on social media that you're looking for people. Share with as many people as possible that you're hiring. I know Facebook Business has a great low cost ways to target demographics, and it's all free. So if you don't have a Facebook business profile, please set one up because it's one of the most cost effective marketing tools available.
So thank you very much. Is there any questions that we have? Please feel free to type those in the questions box. And I really love what you both said. I am a young emerging manager, and I just think it's so important to really keep the lines of communication over and really check in. And one of my favorite things to say, which I think goes along exactly with what you said, is I treat my employees equally. There's no doubt about that, but I manage every employee very differently because they are different people. They have different experiences and they all need, to be managed differently. Some people need more space. Some need more, questions answered and more team building. So I think what you said is great. So I don't know if we have any questions. I have one. So we talked a lot about reputation. So how do we think customer reviews plays into effect with the time of reputation and monitoring your customer reviews?
I think monitoring your customer reviews gives you a chance to, one, praise your employees, if they're getting good reviews and giving them that feedback so they know they're on the right track. But if there are some points where you might get some negative feedback, I think it's a great way to let employees know how to, improve on what they're doing.
Oh, that's great. And it looks like we do have a question. What are your favorite team building activities?
Some of my favorite, I like the peer-to-peer. The iRock is really awesome. It's really good to see how peers interact. And it's like, oh my God, Pam, you recognize me. I didn't even know you saw me do that. And it's totally free. And also I love going, like when we can go out to eat together. But that's an expensive one, right? I like peer-to-peer recognition. I like taking the opportunity on a normal staffing meeting. I would say don't let them know it's coming. It shouldn't even be a recognition meeting, right? It should just be a normal staff meeting or a normal weekly get together. And it's like, you know what? I want to take a moment I know this is a normal staffing meeting, and that way it like hits them off guard. I like the peer-to-peer recognition for team building because it really builds a relationship between peers?
And what about
For me, I like to do vision boards. So that way, like it helps our team members know each other's goals. So like if we see something, especially like if we're on social media or if there's some classes coming up, if we know that one of their goals is like, hey, I want to get stronger in hair coloring. Now you know that about that person, so you can kind of send them things to help them with that. Or also when you get to know someone's goals, it kind of helps you to get to know them personally or a little bit more about their personality.
oh, that's great. Awesome. Well,
Vision boards too. I'm always like, when I go to my vision boards, I'm like, okay, where am I going to find these magazines? I'm like, trying to find some magazines. I love vision boards, so I believe in manifesting. And that's one thing, like if you want to retain your people, manifest keeping them. Think positive despite all odds that you're going through and push through no matter what's going on.
no,
Mhm.
great. Well, thank you both thank you so much for presenting today and presenting all your knowledge. We really appreciate it. And just please mark on your calendars. Our next junior board masterclass will be on October 26th at 8 p.m. We'll be talking about social media, the importance of video, and lead generation. It will be very exciting. So we hope to see you there. If you have any questions, as we said, you can reach out to me, or we have Victoria and India's emails, and please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. So thank you all for joining us, and we hope we see you at the next presentation. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.